these are the wildflowers that we had planted from seeds couple of years ago. They are in the front yard on a south facing side, so they do get full sun from morning till late in the evening throughout the year. And this particular patch is all reseeded by itself after planting the seeds for the first season. And this is the third year going, and the patch has fully taken over all the gravel area, and that actually is bringing a lot of pollinators like hummingbirds, bees, even some of the native birds and butterflies. So there are two key types of wildflowers here. The first one is one that is perennial, and the second one is the one that is annual. So for annuals, which means they would die off at certain point and then they would reseed themselves in about a year, the next year. So this first one, these yellow flowers, these are all African daisies. They are yellow and orange colored mix, and they would show up in late winter, early spring. So that's about December, January here in Arizona, and then they would bloom through spring till late April, early May. Then they would bolt and reseed themselves. So these African daisies do attract a lot of butterflies in particular. The next type of flowers we have here is borage. So these are the borage flowers, and they are edible. The flowers are edible. The leaves are sort of spiky, so these do attract a lot of local bees here, and they would reseed year after year and almost grow to 3-4 feet high bush by early summer, which is about middle of May. So these would reseed in late fall, early winter, so that's about November, December, and then they would grow and bloom through spring through middle of May. Sometimes they would last till June based on the weather, but they would thrive really well and protect sensitive trees all around them. So that's borage. This is African daisies. These next set of flowers are bluebells. So bluebells are also native to Arizona. These in particular are California bluebell, but they attract a lot of bees, especially in middle of spring, right when the fruit trees are blooming and they would need pollinators. So these are excellent pollinators to have in your garden, and these seem to be doing well in partial shade or even in full sun, and they last through little longer period of summer, almost through end of June, and they would reseed by themselves. So that's bluebells. And then these next set of flowers are what we call globe mallow. So this is a native bush to southwest. So Arizona has many of these globe mallows that you will find when you go for a hike on any local mountains. And these globe mallows are more like a small bush, and they grow very easily in direct sun, and this was one of the ones that reseeded by itself from local bird or some winds. We did not plant this particular globe mallow, and it attracts a lot of bees, especially here in Arizona. You need those native bees to act as great pollinators, and this produces these orange, red orange colored flowers, and they bloom throughout spring up until later portion of May or early June, and then they would stay green and then kind of go dormant in fall, and then they would come back in spring. So globe mallow is one of the excellent native bushes to have as a great pollinator. This another bush here, which is desert Ruralia, and this has tubular flowers, so it's an excellent pollinators, especially to attract bees and hummingbirds. And this tree is green throughout almost entire year except for a couple of months in winter when it kind of stays semi dormant, but then as the spring warmth kicks in, you will see bees buzzing all around this bush. And I have planted this bush right next to the bonanza peach, so it's a great pollinator to have. This next set of flowers are calendula. So calendula is also annual here, but they would reseed and spread around all by themselves, and they are excellent attractors for butterflies. And these calendula flowers are also edible, their petals are edible, and then once you see the flowers kind of converting into these pods, you can just snip them off like that, and more you snip them off during the growing season, more you will have the bush flower. And then eventually in late spring, early summer, these would start reseeding and they would just spread around. So what I have here is a Barbados cherry bush, and these particular calendula as well as the borage bushes, they are reseeding by themselves every year, especially beginning winter, and that is an excellent time to have these work as a great protector for this tropical Barbados cherry bush, so it doesn't get any winter damage or wind damage, especially in colder months in Arizona. And since these flowers, the calendula, the borage, and the daisy, the African daisies, since they reseed by themselves, you don't have to do anything to keep on growing them and attracting bunch of pollinators. So the only thing I do is water them if there is no rain in winter, maybe once every couple of weeks, just slightly, but other while they are sprouting. But other than that, they don't need any attention at all. All they need is our native Arizona soil and lot of sun in winter and spring months. So this is one of the best ways to attract pollinators in your garden, especially if you have fruit trees. You do need those pollinators, or you just want to attract local hummingbirds, native bees, and butterflies. You need those pollinators, especially in spring. Also, the last bush I wanted to talk about is this basil. So although basil is technically an herb, it has these flowers which attracts bees almost through the entire year, including in spring and in winter. So if you keep the basil on south side of your yard where it would get full sun, you can get the basil to stay healthy and green throughout the entire year, even in Arizona. And then it will have a lot of bees, especially in the winter months and then in summer months, that it will attract, which is an excellent pollinator. Plus it's an edible bush. So there you go. It's a great way to enhance your beauty of your garden and at the same time attract the useful pollinators in your garden using these self-seeding flowers and bushes.
They have her.